What's up?
Oh, welcome to announcements. Yes. We got announcements for you and you. But you listen to them every single morning, and what was that? Oh, now it's dead.
It's dead.
Well, anyways, so announcements this week. If you are wrestling cheerleader, turn in your uniforms.
Please, dude.
Oh, there's Aspen.
Okay, letter from Miss Bowman. If you have not bought a yearbook yet, please do.
Buy one.
One. Just one. Or you can buy a multiple if you please. Thank you. Okay.
Well, anyway, you know, scholarships, Marvis's brown box.
Yeah, there's something about that. And, canopy door. What was that? Do not open the canopy doors for anybody you do not know. Me too. Want to quit? 1, 2, 3, quit!
Welcome back to sports with
Max
and Alex. We're going to jump right into boys basketball. And a loss to Partyville, 59-71. And then we had a loss to Oakfield, 47-66. And a loss to Marquezan, 48-52. Boys, I know these losses lately have not been good. But it all counts when we get to the big time.
Big time.
The big time. We get to the playoffs. So
Yes.
And that is going to be at Cedar Grove.
Yes.
So,
Cedar Grove.
That's a long ways away. So if you can make it, be good. So,
Hopefully. We had a girls loss at, or actually here, 40-41 versus Partyville. Girls win 31-36 versus Valley Christian. And a girls loss versus Marquezan 21-60.
And same for you, girls. I mean, you're 0-0 when it comes to playoff time, so make it happen. And and we'd like to congratulate Jacob Deskins making it to state.
You are the man.
You are the man.
I love you.
If you were here, I'd give you a big hug. Yeah. You fought everything you had, man. You left it all on the mat. That's all we ask. And we're all proud of you. And no matter what the outcome was, we love you no matter what. So
We love you.
That's all for sports. So this is Kim Gaffney from the Market County Sheriff's Office talking to us today about dog training. All right, I'm going to ask you some questions about your dogs. So, how long have you been doing training with your dogs?
How long have I? Well, as sheriff of Marquette County, I have officers that do that. We have, over the course of the years, we've had 3 different canine dogs. Our first dog began in 1994. That was Vikos. He was a German Shepherd. He was what we call a dual-purpose dog, which means he protected the officers. He tracked for individuals. Also, he sniffed for drugs. He lasted. His life was about 10 years long, and he went away. Then we had Cole, who was a black Labrador. He was strictly a one-dimensional dog.
Dunning, report to the office.
Or tracked for drugs, if you will, search for drugs, those type of things. Then our current dog, who is Axel, he is also a dual-purpose dog, which means, again, he does many different things. He specializes in the detection of drugs, be they heroin, marijuana, cocaine, those type of things. He's also a very good search dog. He searches for people, be they criminals that go out and run away from us, or the lost people in our community, for people that have Alzheimer's, for example. Or maybe it's a child that has autism that walks away in our cold winters, and we have to find them. This dog will find those dogs along the trail. He's also an officer protection dog. So in Marquette County, when we have only 2 or 3 officers working on a whole shift, we have about 800 miles of roadway to deal with. It's very, very good to have a partner in the back seat that could protect the animals. So that's what's called dual purpose. So we are really into our 10, 20, a little over 20 years and altogether that we've had dogs, and we hopefully continue that'll happen for a long time.
All right. Well, about how long does it take to train the dog?
Good question. The dogs come to us. We buy them from a kennel, if you will. The dogs are about 18 months old when we get them. They've already had their obedience training, the sit, stop, go, lay down, and then they're trained throughout their course of life. But the official training probably will last about 2 years. When my officer gets picked to do this, the canine officer gets chosen. We have to choose that within our department. We have to have an officer that matches well with that dog. Now, this particular dog, Axel, and our handler, Mike Kowalski, he is a senior deputy for us. They had a very intense 4-week training away from us. So they were down there training for 4 weeks, but they also train every month for at least a week. So they're training constantly, and it's a constant, again, if you've had any hunting dogs, if you will, same type of thing. Training dogs is a repetitious issue. You have to repeat and train them how to do that. So this particular dog is doing very, very well. And part of the drug search that we did at your school was part of a training day, in all honesty, for the group that we belonged to. There was 9 different dogs that came into Marquette County. 5 dogs came into Montello High School and Grape Middle School, and 4 dogs went over to Westfield.
Okay.
Over there.
So, like, how do you decide what days that you do the drug searches? Is it just random, or is there certain days that mean certain things?
Sure.
For a reason?
There's probably 2 different answers to that question. Typically, it's a random day. But like I said earlier, it's a training day. So once we can get a whole group of dogs together, we all have to train. We have to keep up our certification so the dogs are fresh. So we get 8 or 9 dogs around, and they come from all the way from Milwaukee, Wisconsin Dells, way down in Vernon County, which is in the southwest part of Wisconsin, all the way up near Wapaka, those type of things. So it's really around that schedule. Now, the other way we search is based on probable cause. If we've got information either from a teacher, from an administrator, or from another student, for example, that, again, you, Mr. Zomer, may have drugs in your school, you're bringing it in today, we may do that on a probable cause search, which means we may come on that certain day and specifically target you and the information that we're receiving on. But again, going back to what happened in your school, that was part of a training day that we were asked to be here from your administration. So Mr. Holmes, and again over in Westfield, Mr. Iyer, John Ierly, the new administrator over there, asked us to come over, and we do that on occasion. And we'll do that throughout the year, 2 or 3 times a year, and all that stuff.
So when a dog maybe finds something, how do they alert the officers?
Sure. Good answer. Good questions. 2 different answers to that. There's a passive and an aggressive hit. These dogs here are trained to stop and scratch. They will literally scratch on a locker, and they will lay down. The other way to do it is passive, where they will sit down or lay down at the individual locker, if you will, through a series of lockers or the car or whatever we're searching. When our daughters were in high school in Westfield, we made a lot of trips to Florida for the band. You guys may do that here. We would lay before they left on their buses, we would lay all the suitcases out. We'd have 2 or 3 dogs go through and sniff to make sure there was no drugs or alcohol or anything else for that matter. And then they would just lay down, scratch or whatever, and we would go through it that way. Luckily, we didn't find anything, and we're very glad about that.
So when your dogs do find something, how are they rewarded?
Well, the training of these dogs, it's all got to do with how to play. Dogs love to play. Axel, he works for a tennis ball. That's truly what it is. His go-to game is to chase that tennis ball. So when he goes through and he indicates that there is something in this locker, he's trained to smell those drugs. His reward is that tennis ball, no more, no less. He doesn't get a steak dinner. He doesn't get treats. Not for doing it anyway. He gets that tennis ball. You have to find the right dog. You truly have to find the right dog that has a drive. You're a baseball player. You have to have somebody that understands the game of baseball and wants to drive that every day. If you had a baseball player, a teammate, that didn't care about baseball and like wrestling, he wouldn't be very good at baseball. You have to find that right dog.
So is there a certain breed of a dog that is better at finding certain things than others, or is there a top dog that is the epitome of what you want?
That's a loaded question. I think the dogs with Labradors are going to say they're the best dogs, and our dog is a German Shepherd, and some are different. There's all sorts of varying breeds of dogs. I think it's more to do with the type of dog, or more to do with the personality of the dog than it is the type of dog. You go into airports, you'll see all sorts of bomb-sniffing dogs that may be Labradors, they may be Shepherds, if you will, or some other dog. So I don't think it's more specific to that, but most of your dogs are either going to be German Shepherds or Labrador mixes, I suspect, because that's more of the breeds of the world.
And what gives a sheriff the right to search?
The right to search. That's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. It's really got to do with a couple things. One is if we're invited in, there's school policies to allow us in, and the other thing is probable cause, those type of things. Right. What we won't do is violate someone's civil rights or someone's right to do this. We have a certain procedure to go through. But even if a dog searches and finds something, a lot of times what we'll have to do is go back and get a search warrant from a judge. Because what the dog does for us, it gives us probable cause. Think that, okay, there's something in your locker, Mr. Zelmer, there's in your locker, we're going to go. The school has a policy, they can go in and look, see, and if they find something, they'll let us know. But there's a whole legal protection that you all have to do that. And again, it's got to do with right of privacy and those type of things. So that's a very good question.
Alrighty, well, thank you for your time, and I'm hoping this educates us a little more.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Random question of the week. What should the question be?
Is she single?
You could be a sand lizard for a day. Which sand would you like to burrow in? Okay, if you could be any kind of shoe, what kind of shoe would you be? How do you do this? I don't think she's gonna answer.
I didn't even get a question, so...
If you could ask one good question.
Max is standing behind Rebecca. Rebecca is standing behind Max. How is this possible? Okay. Bye!
You could be Mr. Brood or Mr. Hahn.
That looks so good.
Alright. Too skinny jeans or not too skinny jeans?
Any random question? I often like to ask people what their favorite Pokemon is.
Welcome back to this week's episode of You May Like This, But I Don't. First, I really don't like that there's no football on anymore. My Sundays have nothing to do. I don't do anything. I sit and pretend that I can maybe be watching football when I can't. It's kind of depressing. Second, that eyeglass commercial where they make like ninja noises and then the two eyeglass, it separates into two. It is the most poorly made commercial I have ever seen. Ever. I can't stand it. And lastly, whole wheat bagels. I hate whole wheat bagels. If there's a couple things I can sacrifice, okay, I would love white bread. But guess what? I don't have white bread. So, let me have one thing. White bagels. And regular crackers. Those two things. I could survive on those for a while. So, white bagels and original town crackers. Those are good. So, that is what needs to accomplish this week. Please buy plain bagels.
So the musical this year is Godspell, and it's really about a group of people coming together and forming a community and a family and learning kind of a better way to live or a different way to live than they had known before. So it talks about taking care of each other and being nice to your neighbor, and through that process they learn how to get along and how to become this family and this community throughout this story. What's next?
Tell me about your characters.
Well, the leading character is called Jesus, and it's based loosely on the Gospel of Matthew. But the Jesus character kind of comes in and leads the other people to a way that they can live as this community. So Alex Zelmer plays Jesus, and then the other followers all have kind of equal roles, and it's really an ensemble cast where they all work together.
What's the setting of the play?
This year's play is taking place in a high school because it's a play that can kind of happen at any time. It was originally written in the 70s, but it pertains to people now and communities now and some of the problems that the world is facing today. So we set it in a private school with a bunch of teenagers who need to kind of come together and learn how they want to live. Come to see the show. Tickets are on sale. You just need to go to the high school office and talk to Marvis. Tickets are $6 for students and $8 for adults. It would be best if you purchase them in advance because we do tend to sell out, especially Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's this coming weekend, March 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, 7 o'clock on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, and a 2 o'clock performance on Sunday. So you could bring your grandparents and your aunts and uncles and whoever you would want to come. It's an appropriate show for everybody. And it's really a lot of fun. The kids have been working hard, and it's going to be an awesome show. So be sure to come and see it.